Your home is your castle. All that stands between the unknown and your loved ones is a thin door. Timing is everything. Act too soon, and you may end up in prison. Hesitate too long, and you won't get a second chance.
We have a lot to talk about in this video. Come on.
Should you shoot through the door? I wish it was a simple yes or no, but there are a ton of nuances here. Every situation is different. My name is Frank Latella. I'm a law enforcement firearms instructor, self-defense instructor, and I own a gun shop in Florida. I am constantly talking to people about firearms and use of force. And the question comes up often. Well, what if someone's trying to force their way into my house? Do I have to wait until they cross that threshold and wait till the door is broken down? Or can I do something about it first? Now, in the preview of this video, you saw a couple Ring doorbell or equivalent type security footage of people trying to break into houses. Now, I'm going to play the full video for each one, then discuss it. Talk about how many shots were fired, what happened to the perpetrators, and most importantly, in my opinion, the homeowner. Were they charged? Okay. Now, make sure you watch until the end of this video because I had a sit down with a defense attorney that specializes in self-defense law, specifically firearms, from the Attorneys for Freedom law firm in Arizona. And they have an excellent association called Attorneys on Retainer. I'm going to explain that as well. So what I want you to understand is I am not an attorney. This is not legal advice. And I am not telling you or encouraging you to do anything. I'm dropping my opinion, and you have to do the research in your own state and do what is legally and morally acceptable in that moment. I'm in my home. I'm with my family. I have a firearm. Maybe it's on my waist. Maybe it's in the other room. And I hear knocking at the door, or I hear the doorbell. Well, if I don't have one of those cameras, whether it's a Ring or surveillance, maybe I walk over to the door or the window and take a look. I can easily talk through the door. I'm not going to open my door. If I don't know you, I'm not opening it, even if you have a UPS or Amazon shirt on, because you can buy those online and pose as something that you are not. So I'm simply going to talk to you through the door, or if you have some sort of communication system like the Ring, you can talk to them from there. So now we're going to say the person isn't leaving. We tell them, hey, we're not interested in your product. We say, hey, I don't know who you are. You need to leave, and they're not. Okay, well, at this point, they are trespassing. Go ahead and call the police. Right? I personally don't recommend opening the door because there might only be one guy visible, and you say, oh, I can take him, but there's 2 or 3 people out of your line of sight that as soon as that door opens might come in. I've seen cases where a woman knocks on the door, hey, can I please use the bathroom? Hey, my dog is lost. And her boyfriend and his friend are around the corner, okay? So we tell them to leave, they don't. Call the police. Now we're in an instance where there's clearly a threat. It's arguable if it's imminent at the moment or not, but there's a threat. 2 guys, ski mask, like in the videos that we saw in the preview here. I personally would get to my firearm. Whether it's on my body or in the other room, I'm going to grab that firearm. I'm going to take my family. Maybe you have kids, maybe you have a spouse, and you tell them, go into the safe room. Well, if you don't have a safe room, that's something to consider. I don't necessarily mean a fortified room that no one can get in. A room where you are out of the plain sight. Now, that person that goes in the room could call 911, and you with the firearm can put yourself in a tactical position. I'm just running a scenario. Every situation's different, but in my mind, this is where we're at. Now, they're not leaving and they're forcing their way in. They're kicking. You don't know how strong your door is until someone tries to get in. Obviously, fortifying your home is important. Making sure that you have a good deadbolt, making sure that you have multiple locks. That's all important. And you can buy the best stuff, but truthfully speaking, you might not really know if it's going to work until someone is kicking it down. How many kicks does it take? Right? Just one single kick, maybe 5. So you're sitting there or standing there with your firearm. Boom, boom. The pictures on the wall start to shake. You hear the door frame starting to crack. Maybe your kids are screaming and crying. Things are chaotic. At that point, it comes down to, do you reasonably believe that you have to shoot? I can't say, yes, you should. In my mind, I might. I can't say I will because it's not happening right now, but I might. Now, you run a lot of risks. You run the risk of aiming. You have no idea what you're aiming at. Even if you looked through the peephole, you saw on the Ring doorbell, you know it's a potential threat. Person wearing a ski mask, holding a gun in their hand. Let's make it obvious. You don't know where they are. Did they take a knee and now you're aiming the height of the head? Where's that bullet gonna go? There are a ton of things to consider. But in this video where we see 2 to 4 people, if we wait until they breach the door, you can only engage one person at a time. Let's just say, boom, he goes down. The next person, boom, while that third person runs to the bedroom or the safe room where your family is.
Can I help you? Oh yes, they came to check your air filters. I'm not sure. This is 38277. Apartment. No one came to check air filters. Can you repeat that? No one came to check the air apartment. No. Yeah, we're checking the air filters. Oh, nobody's home right now. You'll have to wait till another day. Oh, much appreciated. 87226.
Dallas Police!
Yeah.
Mr. Rodriguez, Ethan, it's Dallas Police!
Hey, they shot back. They're showcasing us out here.
Right here, open the door.
Yes, open the door slowly, man. Make sure I can see your hands. Hey,
We're all in
your
here.
hands.
We're all in here.
Both hands. Alright, come on out, man.
Are you the only one inside?
No, my brother.
Alright, I want all of you guys to come out. Just step over here.
All right, so this happened in Texas. The homeowner fired 13 shots through the door. The bad guy, which you don't have a good angle on, but there were 2 shell casings found outside and 2 bullet holes, meaning homeowner shot 13 out and the bad guy shot 2 rounds in. Somehow, nobody was hit. The first shot from the From the homeowner, they started running, okay? Now, what I found interesting was he gives this whole thing, yeah, we're maintenance, we're trying to do your air filter. He said, hey, no one's home, you'll have to come back. Now, maybe that was a tactic just to say, go away, but I think that's what gave the bad guy the, okay, this is the apartment we're going to target. So perhaps saying, yes, I'm home, but I don't need your service, we didn't call maintenance, maybe that would have prevented it. But now, here's the flip side. I'm always trying to go back and forth. What if a woman was home alone and she said, yes, I'm here? Now, what if that guy now has the incentive to come in because he wants to attack her? So it's a situational thing and it's tough. But regardless, the homeowner said, these guys are going to come in. They were kicking that door hard. And you saw on that first kick, the guy had a gun in his hand. I believe he was justified. And the state of Texas thinks so too, because he was not charged. Now here's the crazy part. All of those rounds hit the neighbor's house. It looked like it hit the wall, right? Not the door. And we can only hope it was concrete and those rounds didn't go through. But just imagine, all it takes is one. One round goes through, hits an innocent person. You may be justified for the initial shots at the bad guy, but now you're dealing with a whole new set of charges and the the realization that you hurt or possibly killed an innocent person. This one happened in Ohio. We have an ex-boyfriend trying to visit his ex-girlfriend at her house, and she did not want him there. The woman was there with her parents. Bad guy comes through, acting just kind of weird, acting shady. They tell him to leave through the Ring doorbell. He puts his shoulder behind it. Boom. Boom. The dad says, I have a gun. He fires through the door. 3 shots. Bad guy was hit. He died. A grand jury decided not to charge the dad. But think about this for a second. The state said, well, maybe it's murder. Maybe it's not. Let's get a grand jury. That's pretty serious stuff, because there could have been one factor that they said, you know what? I think we have a case here. Let's arrest him. Let's charge him. If you do find that video and you decide to watch it, although the father potentially saved his family's life and he was justified, he volunteered a lot of information, right? When the police came, he was talking. Everybody was. That is one thing that I do not advise if you're ever in a situation like this.
Seattle Police!
So what's different about this one? This is happening in the dead of night. Homeowners are probably sleeping. We see 3 people. Now, if we see 3, how many are out of frame? How many are in the getaway car? Pretty big guys, too. They are yelling police.
Seattle police!
This one's crazy. Because what if a police officer, they're trying to serve a warrant, but not on you, they got the wrong house. That's why stuff like this is super tricky. Honestly, I probably would have done the same thing. Now, my research shows that only one person was caught and arrested, and I do not believe anybody was hit. It goes to show you're shooting blindly through the door. You're just shooting. At first shot goes off, boom, dude gets hit with glass, drops to the floor, they all run. What happened? Justified. No charges pressed.
There's somebody else in the house. Can I just get my water?
No.
Now, this next one is interesting. I don't have a video of this, but there is a Netflix series made about it called The Perfect Neighbor. Now, this happened in Ocala, Florida. And normally, the headline is Florida Man, and you know it's going to be a good story. But this one is actually Florida Woman. An older woman named Louise, and she shot her neighbor, AJ. AJ is her nickname, so 2 females. Now, just to rewind it a little bit, after watching the Netflix series, it's like a 3-part series, I believe. What's cool about it is it's body camera footage and 911 calls compiled together to tell the story. This one went on for months, maybe even a year prior. Watch the video if it interests you, but just to make it very brief, this older woman, Louisa, seems like a old cat lady who's just miserable, calling the police on the local kids that are just playing and getting into arguments with the kids' parents, and this has been going on and on and on. Now, allegedly, because there's not a video of this, one of the children's mothers, AJ, knocked on the older woman's door at her house, went onto her property, was banging on the door. Regardless of what happened, allegedly she threw something at the woman's kids, and that's neither here nor there. You watch the series for that. But what happens is, older woman says she feels threatened and shoots through the door. She hit AJ. AJ died later at the hospital. Now, what's interesting about this, older woman Louisa, she was not arrested. Did I say Louisa? Whatever her name is. Older woman, she was not arrested until 4 days later. And if I'm being completely honest with you, I think the only reason she was arrested and convicted was because she couldn't keep her mouth shut. I never said I agreed with her. Doesn't sound like it was, it almost sounds like it was premeditated, where she kind of egged her on. Once again, you watch the series, you make your own judgment, but Fifth Amendment right. Let's put yourself in her position where you are the good person. If you start talking, even though you're innocent in your mind, you may say some things that you regret and you can't take back. Unpopular opinion, but my opinion nonetheless is that she would not have been charged, she would not have been convicted if she pled the fifth. A jury found her guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to 25 years. Now that you've heard my opinion, let's hear what a practicing attorney has to say. All right, I am here with Rachel Moss from Attorneys for Freedom Law Firm, and she's going to answer a few important questions. All right, Rachel, am I legally permitted to shoot somebody through the front door of my home if they're trying to get in?
So I'm going to start by giving you every lawyer's favorite answer, which is it depends.
Okay.
So in a situation like this where someone is at your front door, there's a few things we look at. There are times where it is certainly justified. So the general rule of self-defense boils down to reasonableness. A person has to reasonably believe that they are in imminent danger in order to use deadly physical force. So you have to believe that you yourself are facing deadly physical force in that moment. So there's times where it's reasonable to believe that. I think you showed me a video that where it'd be pretty reasonable to think that two men trying to kick down your door are there for no good reason.
For sure.
But there's certainly times where someone could be at your door trying to break in, and maybe it wouldn't be reasonable to shoot them. Let's say if it was a 5-year-old trying to break into your house, they're clearly confused about where they are. It's a kid, you can see it's a kid, they're just lost. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a jury that would agree that that's a reasonable time to be using deadly physical force against someone else. So it really boils down to those elements. Is it reasonable? But there's other justifications that can protect you in these sorts of situations. So, for example, most states have something called a crime prevention statute. And this is the idea that states want you to be able to stop really serious crimes. So not all crimes are protected by a crime prevention statute. For example, if someone's committing minor criminal damage, maybe they're spray painting your wall, the law is not going to entitle you to use deadly physical force to stop something like that from happening. But really serious crimes, think things like you're interfering to stop a robbery, for example. That's a very serious crime. Many states allow you to do this. Another common example which would apply in this situation is a burglary. So burglary is when someone is breaking and entering your property to either commit a felony or a theft. So in a situation like this where we see this video, we can see these two guys, they're obviously attempting to break and enter into that guy's apartment. And it's clear they're not there for the purpose that they stated. It's clear they're not there to check an air filter.
Right.
They are there to probably steal from this guy. And it's pretty obvious when you see the video. And there's other times where you can see people trying to break and enter a home. Maybe it's someone you know, maybe it's a stalker. So you know that they're there to try to harm you, maybe commit an aggravated assault. So those are situations where you're facing a burglary and you would be entitled to use deadly physical force to stop it. Now, the important thing to note is this type of statute varies by state. So for example, I practice in Arizona. So in Arizona, they make it really easy for you. They list the type of crimes that you can use deadly physical force to prevent. But every state is a little bit different on what types of crimes they categorize in that serious category that you can prevent. So there is a little bit of homework for each person watching that they have to go on Google, look up their state's laws and figure out what kind of crimes they can prevent. And then there's even more justifications that might protect you. For example, many states have laws entitling you to a presumption of reasonableness if you are protecting yourself on your property. This calls back to that idea of castle doctrine. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of, that your home is your castle. You're entitled to extra protection in your home. So if you are defending yourself from someone who is in the process of breaking into your home, you're entitled to a presumption of reasonableness, and you're also entitled to the presumption that that person breaking into your home is there to cause you some sort of imminent harm, either death or serious physical injury.
Makes sense. All right, so let's say I believe I'm justified, I believe I'm reasonable, and I do fire a shot through. I'm responsible for every round fired. So what could be the legal repercussion for maybe that round goes through the door and possibly injures somebody else or goes through my neighbor's door?
You are exactly right. You are responsible for every round you fire. And in a situation like this, where you fire your gun and the bullet goes into someone else's property, or a worst case scenario, it injures someone else or kills someone else, there are many things you could be charged with. For example, you might be charged with something like endangerment. So endangerment is a crime that many jurisdictions have that basically say exactly what it says. If you recklessly endanger someone else, you can be charged with a felony. And shooting off a gun where you know the bullet might strike an innocent bystander is certainly endangering someone else. It really boils down to a recklessness standard. So recklessness, just an easy way to explain it, is that you are aware of a risk and you consciously disregard that risk and do the thing anyway.
Okay.
So for example, I live in an apartment building. I know that if I use my pistol and I fire off a round, that there is a good chance it will go through the wall and into my neighbor's unit. It's just the reality of the situation. And if I choose to do that, I know about that risk. I think most gun owners would know about
Yes.
that risk if they've ever shot their handgun. And so I would be responsible then if that bullet went into my neighbor's unit. I could be charged with something like criminal damage.
Okay.
Many states have a criminal damage charge that's, again, exactly what it sounds like. You've damaged the property
Right.
of someone else because you acted recklessly. But then there are more serious felony charges, like the endangerment charge I mentioned. That's maybe where it injures someone or comes close to injuring someone. But even more seriously, maybe something like a manslaughter.
Wow.
So there are very serious charges. And so it's something you have to keep in mind that when you are firing a gun in self-defense, it can't be reckless. There are times where it's reckless to do so, and there's times where it's not. So you have to always be aware of your surroundings if you're carrying a firearm.
Good point.
So the other side of the coin is the civil side, a little less
Ooh.
scary, but it involves money, so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
still important. Your neighbor can absolutely sue you, and they would probably have a good case if something like that was to happen. And you could be found civilly liable. Either you could settle, pay out some money, go to trial, be found civilly liable there. Again, like any case, there could be defenses that we could bring in a criminal case or a civil case, but that risk is always there.
Yeah. The Attorneys for Freedom law firm has an excellent association called Attorneys on Retainer. And just as the name suggests, when you become a member, you have an attorney retained. These attorneys are all pro Second Amendment, and they specialize in self-defense only. They don't do divorces and DUIs and this and that, and sometimes self-defense. That's all they do. AOR is going to be there to represent you. They're going to pay for your bail to get you out of jail. They're going to be with you every step of the way, and everything is covered. When you're a member, you don't pay extra for the attorney's fees, for expert witnesses, for anything like that. If things don't go well for you and you get charged with a felony and you have to go to trial, you get 4 professional attorneys, not just one. You get 4 people to fight for your freedom. One of the main reasons I decided to become a member myself was because AOR is not insurance-based. A lot of these companies out here claim to give you legal coverage, but they have an insurance company that writes the policy. And if you're charged with a crime, they'll drop you. It sounds insane, but it's the truth. After becoming a member, I decided to become an affiliate because when I teach my concealed weapons permit classes, when I'm in the gun shop talking to people, I want them to have the same type of legal protection that I have, which is why I'm sharing this with you. Now, to learn a little bit more about it, I made a video comparing AOR to other companies that are insurance-based so you can see the difference. That video is going to pop up right here. It's also going to be in the description. After doing your own research, if you think AOR is right for you, you can save a few bucks by using my promo code Boynton Guns. That's the name of my gun store, Boynton Guns. Save $25. My goal by the end of 2026 is to have 100,000 subscribers on this page. I can't do it without you. If you are pro Second Amendment, if you got value from this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the thumbs up button. It'll help the channel grow. I really appreciate your support. Drop a comment and understand that when seconds count, police are minutes away. You are in your house with your family. Someone's kicking that door down. The police aren't getting there in time. They come afterwards to fill out the report. That means you are your own first responder.